Let me see your phone. Let me see that goddamn phone.
I was just checking the Mariners score.
You were what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling.
The narrative opens on an apartment scene where two sisters reside. One is named Joni, and the other is Jeannie. We see Joni step out of her room, listening to music, unaware that a serial killer has already infiltrated their home. He creeps forward slowly. Eventually, Joni senses something is wrong. She moves to turn off her stereo so she can hear better, but the intruder suddenly strikes, hitting her over the head. As soon as she is suspended, he begins to torment her so mercilessly. After some time, her sister Jeannie comes out of her room. She is checking to see if Joni has fed their cat yet. The moment she enters the hallway, she spots the killer. She tries to react, but before she can do anything, he attacks, rendering Jeannie unconscious as well. He hangs her upside down beside her sister, and suddenly, Joni's eyes flutter open. Awake now, she screams so loudly in agony that the killer realizes the neighbors will likely investigate. Fearing capture, he flees the scene. Police arrive shortly after and begin questioning Joni. They ask if she saw the killer's face, but she says no. He was standing in the shadows, making it impossible to identify him. The investigation into the case launches immediately. A forensic psychiatrist named Jack Graham is brought in to assist. Jack begins his research and, after a while, he collects enough evidence to identify the serial killer as a man named John Foster. Foster is soon presented in court. One by one, Jack presents the damning evidence. The case is so strong that Foster has no defense. Everyone agrees he is the killer, and he is sentenced to 9 years in prison, after which he is to be executed. Foster insists he is not a serial killer and didn't kill anyone, but the evidence is overwhelming. He is sentenced and time moves on. We jump forward 9 years. We see Jack, who is waking up in the morning. He has now become a professor at the University of Washington. As he wakes, it is revealed he is having an affair with one of his students, Sarah Pollard. While Jack is relaxing, he receives a call from his assistant, Shelley Barnes. Shelley informs him that a detective named Frank wants to speak with him. She explains that there has been a murder recently that matches John Foster's specific style, the man Jack helped imprison. Today is the day Foster is scheduled to be executed. Because of the similarities, the detective needs to meet Jack at the FBI office. Hearing this, Jack becomes deep in thought. He leaves his house and hails a cab. On the way, he notices a man standing on the road beside a motorcycle. Seeing him gives Jack a bad feeling. He soon arrives at the FBI office and meets Shelley. She scolds him, asking what he is doing, noting that everyone is aware of his affair with Sarah, his former student. Shelley tells Jack to head upstairs to meet the officer. On his way up, Jack runs into another student, Kim. They chat briefly before Jeannie approaches them. She is the same woman attacked by Foster years ago. She thanks Jack for bringing the truth to light and ensuring Foster was punished. Upstairs, Jack meets the Assistant Attorney General, Jeremy, along with Detective Frank and his partner. They explain that the deceased girl is named Dale Morris. She was killed in the exact manner John Foster used to kill his victims. The most troubling detail is that Dale Morris was a student of Jack's. They ask what he knows about her. Jack explains that he met her just last night and she seemed very happy. She was a good student and he had also served as her psychiatrist, but he insists their relationship was strictly professional. They then reveal that before killing her, the murderer forced Dale to record a video. In it, she tells the camera that John Foster is not the real killer. They play the tape. Jack is visibly saddened by the footage. The group discusses how Foster is about to be hanged, suggesting this new killer is a copycat trying to stop the execution, or perhaps it is a conspiracy to prove the police caught the wrong man and the real serial killer is still roaming free. Suddenly, an interview with John Foster airs on TV. He declares his innocence to the press, claiming Jack's psychiatric profile was false and that the new murder proves the real killer is still out there. The officers warn Jack to be careful, as anything could happen now. Jack leaves the building. Outside, he instructs Shelley to track Dale Morris's movements over the last 24 hours and find out who she met. He needs a full report. He then heads to the university to teach. Just then, his phone rings. Picking it up, he hears a voice that Jack instantly recognizes as being digitally altered. The person on the line tells Jack ominously that he has only 88 minutes left to live before hanging up. Jack immediately calls Shelley back, relaying the story and telling her to trace the call's origin. He enters his classroom and begins teaching. Suddenly, his phone rings again. The voice warns him not to treat this as a joke and states he now has only 83 minutes left. Jack realizes the threat is serious. He begins scanning the room, looking at his students with suspicion. He eyes a student named Lauren, then a Kiwi student, and finally focuses on Mike. Mike recently visited John Foster in prison, which makes Jack suspicious. Mike had used Jack's name to gain access since visitors were restricted. Jack observes everything carefully. Looking out the window, he spots the same biker he saw earlier outside his house. He resumes the lecture, but the dean, Carol Johnson, interrupts. She announces a bomb threat has been received and orders an immediate evacuation of the university. As everyone files out, Jack glances at a screen and sees a message written there. He has only 76 minutes remaining. This confuses and rattles him further. Outside, Shelley calls with an update. The threatening call came from a prepaid number registered in the name of Jack's sister. However, Jack's sister is dead. This terrifies Jack for the first time. He realizes the caller knows everything about him, his family, his home, and his work. He knows he must remain alert. He ends the call and keeps moving. Shortly after, Shelley calls again to report that Foster's lawyer is using the new murder to challenge Jack's reports in court to stay the execution. Jack may need to testify immediately, or Foster could be released. Jack says he will see what he can do, but amidst the chaos, he drops his phone. It smashes on the ground and won't turn on. Reaching his car, Jack finds another message scrawled on the vehicle. He now has only 72 minutes left. He scans the area desperately. He spots Kim and approaches her, asking if she knows anything about Dale Morris, as they were friends. He asks to borrow her phone since his is broken, promising to return it later. Kim hands it over. Jack calls Shelley, telling her to contact him on this number from now on. He watches Mike leaving on his bike. As Jack starts to move, he hears a girl screaming. He runs toward the sound and finds his student, Lauren, injured and bleeding from her nose. She tells Jack that a man in a leather jacket attacked her and tried to incapacitate her with halothane. Jack sprints toward the exit, blocking the road to ask people if they saw anything, but no one helps. He returns to take Lauren to the security team. He finds them distracted by the bomb threat. He implores them to help Lauren, but they are overwhelmed. He tells Lauren to go find Shelley for safety until everything is resolved. Meanwhile, Jack speaks to a security guard named DeFranco. DeFranco's manner of speaking makes Jack suspicious of him. Jack walks away and calls Shelley using Kim's phone, but the battery dies. He returns to Kim to ask for a spare battery. When she opens her bag, Jack spots a gun. Angry, he asks why she has it. Kim explains it is for protection against her crazy ex-boyfriend. After swapping the battery, Jack calls Shelley again. He orders her to keep a close watch on all his students and connects him to Frank. Jack tells Frank he suspects Mike, explaining the prison visit to Foster. He also suggests investigating the guard, DeFranco. Just then, Jack gets a call from Carol. She reveals the bomb threat was fake. A university employee was threatened into calling it in. There was never a bomb. Jack rushes off. As Jack and Kim attempt to cross the street, Jack suddenly notices the same motorcycle from earlier speeding aggressively toward them. He instinctively yanks Kim off the road just in time, otherwise the rider would have crushed them. Everything seems to be spiraling out of control. Just then, Jack's phone rings again. The distorted voice on the other end warns him, "You have only 56 minutes left." Jack tries to ignore the countdown, focusing on the task at hand. When he drops Kim off at her home, she decides to explain the weapon in her bag. She reveals that the man she keeps the gun for isn't an ex-boyfriend, but her ex-husband. She divorced him, but the separation was ugly. He was a violent alcoholic who beat her, and she eventually had to put him in jail. After leaving Kim, Jack returns to his apartment building. The security guard informs him that a parcel has arrived. Jack asks who sent it, but the guard notes there is no return address, only that a biker dropped it off. Suspicious, Jack scans the package for explosives before taking it upstairs. Just then, Lauren arrives, telling him Shelley sent her over with some files. Jack opens the mysterious parcel. Inside, he finds a cassette tape. The moment he plays it, he freezes. He hears his deceased sister's voice. Jack immediately calls Shelley, demanding to know how the killer obtained this recording. That specific tape was secured either in the FBI evidence vault or his personal locker. This implies that whoever is tormenting him has high-level access to his private life. Shelley insists she knows nothing about it. However, she shares intel she found on Sarah. It turns out Sarah isn't just a law student. She is involved in an extortion ring and uses a secret phone number that almost no one knows about. Frank calls Jack with an update. They have captured the guard, DeFranco, but the biker is still at large. Jack suddenly recalls who else was present when the biker was following him earlier. Kim was there too. He begins to harbor suspicions about her, though he lacks concrete evidence. Jack tells Shelley to connect him to the TV station immediately. He knows John Foster is being interviewed, and he wants to talk to him live. Jack gets on the air and tries to provoke Foster. He lists the names of the victims Foster murdered, and then deliberately invents names of people who haven't been found yet. He hopes that by claiming these fake victims are missing, Foster will get angry and slip up, perhaps revealing the location of the real bodies, so their families can finally have closure. Jack shouts at him, trying to break his composure, but Foster remains eerily calm and admits to nothing. Defeated, Jack is forced to hang up. Frank calls Jack again with terrible news. Foster's case has been reopened. Because of the new murders, his execution has been stayed. Even worse, the forensics report on Dale Morris is in. Jack's fingerprints were found at the scene. Jack is now the primary suspect in the murder. Jack is bewildered, unable to understand who is framing him so perfectly. Suddenly, his doorbell rings. Checking the peephole, Jack sees a man standing there with a gun. It is Kim's ex-husband. Before the man can attack, a helmeted figure appears behind him and shoots him. Jack grabs Kim and they run. The fire alarm blares, and the building begins to evacuate. In the chaos, a woman screams when she sees Jack holding Kim's gun, causing mass panic. Outside, Kim points out Jack's car on the street. She asks why it is there when he parked it in the garage. Realizing it's a trap, Jack screams for them to get down just as the car explodes. It was a bomb meant to kill him. The situation is critical. They hail a cab to escape. Shaken, Kim asks about his sister. Jack tears up, revealing the truth. She was kidnapped, tortured for exactly 88 minutes, and then killed. The killer is using that same timeline to break him psychologically. They head to Sarah's apartment, hoping she knows something. But when they enter, they find a horror show. Sarah has been hanged upside down and killed, exactly like Foster's victims. All the evidence is now pointing directly at Jack. Carol calls Jack, asking him to meet her urgently. Then Shelley calls with a breakthrough. She believes Lauren stole the missing tape. Lauren is the mole. Jack turns around and realizes Kim has vanished. He rushes downstairs to find her and runs into Frank. Frank confronts him, convinced Jack is the mastermind, that he framed Foster and is now committing copycat murders to cover his tracks. Jack argues that he is being framed to exonerate Foster and begs for time to prove it. Kim calls, sounding terrified, saying she is being held captive at the university office. Jack races there. On the way, he checks the prison visitor logs. He notices a girl named Lydia visited Foster repeatedly. Recognizing the photo, he realizes Lydia is actually Lauren. It all clicks. Lauren is the accomplice who stole the tape and is helping Foster. Jack arrives at the university to find a grisly scene. Carol is hanged upside down, bleeding, and Kim is tied to a chair. Lauren is standing there, holding a gun and the rope that keeps the women from falling. She hands the gun to Jack and orders him to read a suicide note. It is a confession stating that Jack framed Foster, that Foster is innocent, and that Jack is the real killer. To save the women, Jack begins reading. Suddenly, Frank bursts in and shoots Lauren. The rope slips from her hand. Jack dives and grabs the rope just in time to save Kim and Carol. Lauren, wounded, slips toward the edge of the balcony. Jack tries to catch her hand to save her, but she slips and falls to her death. Just then, Lauren's phone rings. Jack answers it. It is John Foster, asking, "Is the job done?" Jack replies grimly, "No, Lauren is dead. And you're next. The case is closed, and in 12 hours you will be executed. Watch the clock." Jack says the story ends here. So friends, our video today concludes. If you enjoyed this recap, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.